If you struggle with feeling good about yourself or with feeling just solid in who you are, then you're going to get a lot out of this talk today. I talk a lot about becoming more emotionally intelligent and becoming more emotionally secure because of how important this is, because of how much it changes our daily human experience while we are here on this planet. When we are feeling good about ourselves, it changes how we show up. It changes how we feel. It changes our relationships. It changes the experiences that we have. We do different things. We act in different ways. We go for different things. We create different things when we are coming from a solid, secure sense of who we are. That so much of our human experience comes back to what is going on inside of us. And so today I want to talk about some just common phrases that people who have worked on their emotional intelligence, who have become more emotionally secure, things that they make a habit of not saying. And it's not because they were just born this way and they automatically just, it never occurred to them to think these things and to say these things. It's because for the most of them, for the majority of them, they've done the work. Because they've intentionally looked at these thoughts that are coming up that cause them to say these things, and they've learned to challenge those thoughts and turn those around and think different. And when we think different, we feel different. And when we feel different, we do different. And when we do different, we have different. And so learning how to catch these phrases, how to catch these words, these statements that so many of us make, learning how to catch them on the outside and then changing the way we are thinking on the inside. I think you're going to get a lot out of this one. Learning to do these ones differently, think these and say these differently has completely changed my life, and I hope they really help you as well. If you are new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. Take a second, introduce yourself in the comments. If you're back, say hello. I love getting to connect with you. Oh, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video. I appreciate so many of you for liking the videos, for sharing them out, for getting them in front of more people. This allows me to keep showing up and to be able to provide these teachings for you. So thank you for those of you who are so incredibly supportive. Either way, my name is Kristina. I'm a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, and the creator of my incredible community that I am just so proud of and so grateful to be a part of and to be leading, the Shift Society. It is full of incredible men and women here to do this work, to take this to the next level, to go deeper. And they are having big shifts in there. They're having big transformations. So come and join us. The information is in the description. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, and I work to help heart-centered go-getter men and women break through the crap that is holding them back so they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And breaking through and not saying these crappy phrases that are not healthy or helpful will help you to like yourself and your life more every day. And the first phrase is, I'm a terrible person. How many of you have ever said that? If you've had a mistake, or if you've messed up, or if you've done something you're not proud of, that automatically you go into self-shaming and tell yourself that you are a terrible person because you made a mistake. That is not helpful, because what happens when we are shaming ourselves is that we just feel terrible. And when we feel terrible, we are more likely to do things that are not healthy or helpful. When we are feeling this tension inside, all of this shame and all of this anger and all of this self-hatred, then we usually act those things out in not healthy ways. We are less patient. We yell at people more. We take things more personally. We get more reactive. And so self-shaming, when we have made a mistake, gives us the opposite outcome of what I think we want. Like we think like, oh, if I tell myself I'm a bad person, then I'll be motivated to do better. But the opposite is true. When I tell myself I'm a bad person, my brain is almost like resolves itself and resigns itself to say, well, you're a terrible person. There's nothing you can do. So why bother trying? Let's just feel terrible. Instead of being able to say, you know, if I make a mistake, I'm not a terrible person, but I made a mistake. And I need to do something. I need to change something. I need to deal with this in some way. But it doesn't mean that I'm a terrible person. It means that I'm a human being, like every human being who is imperfect. And I can learn from my mistake. I can, do what I can to fix the mistake. I can resolve what needs to be resolved and just deal with it. But shaming myself is not a healthy way. It's a habit for many of us. We don't even realize it, but watch that one, catch that one. So the next thing that emotionally intelligent people do not say is when someone has done or said something to them that hurts them or that they don't like or that doesn't feel good for them, they don't automatically say, well, that person is a terrible person. Because they are able to take a step back and see that that person is dealing with their own stuff and they are offsetting that emotion onto the other person or onto them. That person is dealing with their own pain and their own shame, and that's where these words and these behaviors that they are doing is coming from. Now, just as an aside here, showing understanding for why someone else acts in ways that are hurtful or harmful, showing understanding for that isn't about excusing it. It isn't about saying, well, because that person I understand that person is struggling or they're suffering and that's why they acted like an a-hole, that means it's okay. No, absolutely not. But understanding helps us. It helps us to be able to heal from it faster. It helps us to be able to move through it faster because we are not taking it personally. We understand it's because it's an offset of what they have going on, that they are offsetting that energy to try and get rid of the tension. They are trying to get it out. And it ends up, we are getting caught in the crossfire of that battle that they are having with themselves. So emotionally intelligent people are able to recognize that and see it and not get caught up in it. Full transparency, a little while ago, I had a pretty big conflict with someone that I'm close with. It was a pretty intense conflict, one of the more intense ones that I've had in my life. And afterwards, I was reflecting on it and I was thinking about it and I was thinking about how this person said some pretty nasty things. They fought dirty and kind of hit below the belt. And I was like, wow, that really hurt. And that didn't feel good, obviously. But then I was also thinking about it and I was like, you know what? This fight came because I was feeling stressed and they were feeling stressed, and two stressed people together is not a great combination. And also understanding that this person is dealing with a lot of their own emotional turmoil, which then kind of the more shame someone has, the nastier they get in a fight because the more turmoil they have, the more they need to kind of offset that stuff. And so just being able to understand that. So I didn't vilify this person and be like, oh my gosh, they're a terrible person. I'm like, no, they're a hurting person. They're a person who is in pain, and this is how they are acting out from that pain. This is not about me. This is not personal. The next thing that emotionally intelligent people make a habit of not saying is, I can't do it. We have a rule in our house with my kids. If they are ever struggling with something, they're not allowed to say, I can't do it. They can say, I'm feeling frustrated. They can say, I'm having a tough time with this. They can say, I need some help. But they're not allowed to say, I can't do it. I think often we kind of use that phrase as this like offset of our own frustration, just be like, oh, it doesn't work and I can't do it. And not really realizing that what that does is it kind of creates this learned helplessness in our brain, that we start to tell ourselves that if something is tough, if something is challenging, well, then it automatically means that we can't do it. Instead of being able to take a step back and be able to say, okay, this is hard. What can I do to figure this out? What tools do I need? What support do I need? Who can I ask for help? And I've definitely done this when it comes to technology. I'll be sitting on my computer trying to figure something out, and I'll just sit there. I'll say to my husband who's sitting across the room at his computer and be like, oh, this is so stupid. I can't do it. I can't figure this out. This is dumb and I'm never going to be able to do it. And he's like, just say, wait a second. Let me come there and I'm going to show you. And instead of getting myself all in a stint about it, I could have just said, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? I can't figure this out. I'm struggling right now. And letting ourselves just acknowledge that we are having a struggle, that we are feeling uncertain, that something is hard, and then getting the help and support we need for it, instead of shooting ourselves in the foot and just sort of claiming that we can't do something, when most human beings can do a lot of things. I'm not going to say most things, I don't know, but most human beings, we can do a lot more than we think we can. We can figure things out. We can get support. We can get help. So not claiming that sort of self-defeat right off the bat. The next thing, similarly to the I can't do it, is I'm stuck. I hear so many people saying this, I'm stuck. What stuck often means is, I don't feel good, I don't like where I'm at, but I don't really want to put the effort and energy in to making a change. I want it to be easy, I want it to be straightforward, I don't want to expend any energy or effort, I want everything to just be okay, but I don't really want to have to do anything about it. I know this can be a tough one, and I don't want you to think that I'm calling you out. I want to be calling you in to be taking more charge of your own life, to be able to recognize and realize that you are in charge of your life and your choices and what you make of it and what you do with it. We don't always have control over our circumstances, but we always have choices within them. And claiming for ourselves that I'm stuck often comes to something that I call results entitlement. That we feel entitled to have a certain result in our lives, and whatever it is. If it's in the work that we're doing, if it's in, if it's in our relationships, if it's at our jobs, saying I'm stuck. If it's a project that we're taking on, we tell ourselves, well, I'm stuck. If it's about making a decision, about pursuing a goal or a dream, we say I'm stuck. Often it's because we don't really want to put in the effort. We don't want to have to put in the effort. We want it to come easier. When it comes to our health, right? When we want to be feeling healthier and taking better care of our body and eating healthy and moving our bodies because we want to feel just good, we say I'm stuck. Because often we're finding it hard, and our human brain doesn't like things that are hard. And so instead of saying, okay, what do I need to do to get unstuck? We just sort of claim this defeat, which, speaking of, just a little bit of an aside here, is this concept that's going to really help with this, is the quality of our lives is often determined by the quality of the questions we are asking ourselves. So often we are saying to ourselves like, why isn't this working? Why am I not good enough? Why can't I do this? Right? And we're not even actually answering the question. We're just sort of qualifying it as like, I'm stuck. I'm not good enough. It's not going to work for me. Instead of asking better questions. What can I do to get unstuck? What's one thing I can do to take one step forward? Who's one person I can reach out to for support? What's one action that I can take that's going to help me learn how to get unstuck, whatever that is? Ask better questions. What haven't I tried that? What else could I try? What else could I do? Who else might be doing this thing that I want to do? Who else could I be looking to for guidance for that? Because obviously it's possible someone else is doing it. What else could I do? Who else could I look to? So this idea that there is no such thing as stuck. The next thing that emotionally intelligent people don't say is, similarly to this I'm stuck, is I'm confused. Confusion is a lie. Confusion is often what we say to avoid failure. Yeah? When you're like, I'm confused, I don't know what to do, it's because you secretly think that there's a right decision and you don't want to make the wrong one because you don't want to fail. And so you're like, I'm confused about what the right decision is to make. And so we stay stuck in that confusion. That's perfectionist brain. Perfectionist brain telling you that you have to get it right, that you can't make a mistake, that you can't do something you're going to regret. But here's the thing. When it comes to any decision that we're making, nothing is guaranteed. We never fully know what's going to happen. We never can fully guarantee the outcome. So insisting on full certainty before we make a decision is a losing battle because there is no such thing as full certainty. We can have a general idea and we can have hope and we can plan and prepare and have an idea and sort of just a sense that something is going to go a certain way. Something is going to turn out a certain way, but we can never be fully guaranteed. So coming back to this one about confusion and asking yourself, in any area of your life where you've told yourself, I'm confused, are you really confused, or are you just afraid of regret? And if you are afraid of regret, why? Why are you afraid of making a mistake? What are you going to do to yourself? How are you going to treat yourself? What are you going to make it mean about yourself if something doesn't turn out the way that you want it to turn out? Again, this so much comes back to our relationships with ourselves. If things don't go your way, if you fail, or if you get rejected, or if it doesn't work out, are you going to kick yourself, or are you going to catch yourself if you fall? The next thing that emotionally intelligent people do not say is, I have no reason to struggle. I hear this one a lot from people that will say to me, like, I've got this going on. I'm really struggling with this. And I'm really feeling like bad about this. And my job isn't going well. My relationship isn't going well. And I have a parent whose health is failing. And I have kids that need me. And I'm trying to do all this stuff. And then we'll say, well, but I have no reason to struggle because there's so many people who have it so much worse. So here's the thing with this. There's always going to be somebody who has it worse. Absolutely, there is going to be someone who has it worse than someone else. So ultimately, kind of what we're saying with this one is, unless I have it the worst out of every human being on the planet, I am not allowed to struggle. Things are not allowed to feel hard. I am not allowed to have my emotions. And you absolutely are. Things are allowed to feel hard. You're allowed to have your human experience. Now, this doesn't mean we kind of get stuck in that and say, well, things are so hard and there's nothing I can do. I'm stuck. I'm confused, right? And we kind of get stuck in that spiral. But we are allowed to say, things are feeling hard right now. I'm struggling right now. What do I want to do about that? How do I want to approach that? How do I want to deal with that? Because we can't actually deal with something or move through something or solve or resolve something if we're unwilling to acknowledge that it exists. If we say, well, I shouldn't struggle, I shouldn't be struggling because someone else has it worse. Well, you are struggling. So saying that someone else has it worse isn't stopping the struggle. It's just making you feel terrible about struggling. And it's making you actually not want to deal with the struggling because now you feel bad for struggling. So now you feel bad for feeling bad, which makes you feel extra bad instead of saying, this is my experience in this moment. What do I want to do about it? How do I want to deal with this? How do I want to move through this? And the next thing that emotionally intelligent people do not say, I can't stand this feeling. I can't handle this feeling. The things that we as human beings do to numb, avoid, or repress our emotions because we don't think we can handle them, the things we do are creating so many bigger problems for ourselves. We are the most medicated, addicted, obese human beings on the planet in this time in history. And so many of those things that we are doing are to avoid feeling our feelings because we think we can't handle our emotions because we've never been taught how to feel our feelings, how to be with our feelings, how to process our emotions. That our feelings are sensations in our bodies. That's it. Your feeling is just a sensation in your body. And I'm not saying that it's not uncomfortable. I'm not saying that those feelings feel good, but we often make them so much bigger than they actually are, instead of being able to take a step back and to be able to process our feelings, instead of numb, avoid, or repress our feelings. We do this a lot in the Shift Society. The first section of the core lessons in the program are about learning how to process your emotions, learning how to be with your emotions. And for a lot of people, they've said they've just gone through that first part of the teaching and they're like, oh my gosh, that was life-changing in and of itself. But learning how to be with our feelings, learning how to not run or avoid our emotions, and actually recognizing and realizing how many problems we are creating for ourselves by doing that. I'm not saying it's easy, but the alternative is making things worse. And the next thing emotionally intelligent people do not say is, I shouldn't be having this feeling. Hands up if you ever judge yourself for your emotions and say, oh, there's something wrong with me for feeling this way. I'm weak or flawed or broken or weird for having this feeling in this moment. That we judge and shame and blame ourselves for our emotions. We either judge ourselves for having them or we run as fast as we can from them, getting rid of them, numbing, avoiding, repressing them. Neither is helpful. So instead of telling yourself, I shouldn't be feeling this way, there's something wrong with me for feeling this way, using your feelings as information. Using your feelings as a sign that there's something to go get curious about and check out. What's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Instead of saying to myself, I shouldn't be feeling this way, get curious. What's going on? What's happening? What's creating this feeling? Getting curious instead of critical of ourselves for being human beings who have human feelings. And the next thing that emotionally intelligent people do not say is, my thoughts are truths. They do not say to themselves that they're having the thought, I'm not good enough, I don't have what it takes, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not lovable enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not successful enough, what that person said about me is true and I really am a terrible human being, whatever that is. They don't believe their thoughts as truths. They are able to see, like, this is a thought. This is a thought that's coming up right now. Let's look into this. Let's explore this. Let's put this thought on trial. Let's see how true it really is. Let's reflect on this thought instead of just believing this thought. They know that our thoughts are in our mind, not because it's some kind of divine wisdom from above that's like, this is who you truly are and this is what you truly deserve. This is your lot in life. They know that that's just not true, that our thoughts are created by what we were taught, what we were told, what we observed, what we absorbed, what we learned, what we experienced, our interpretations, our socialization, that is where our thoughts came from. So many of us are going through life, we're just believing whatever thought comes in my head, right? We're saying like, well, I had a failure, so I am a failure, and that's just that. I'm a failure, and that's just the way that it is. Or we're like, you know what? I'm really struggling right now, so it's like, I'm a mess, and I can't handle life, and that's just the way that it is. We are believing our thoughts as truths instead of actually taking a step back and looking at them and getting curious about them and actually allowing ourselves to consciously choose whether or not we want to believe that thought, whether or not we want that thought, whether or not that thought is going to be healthy, helpful, or productive. And if not, what would be? Learning how to unattach from our thoughts is something that you can just kind of get started on with my free 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise. There's a download in the description below if you want to just sort of get started on that and just start to learn how to take a step back from your thoughts. And this also is such a key part in developing our emotional intelligence and becoming more emotionally secure when we're not getting caught up in everything that's just happening here in our minds. When we're able to take a step back and become more conscious and aware and take charge of our minds and emotions instead of letting them always control us, that exercise is going to be a good introduction to that. And if you want to take this work deeper and want to get the support and want to have the big shifts and the big transformations, if you're ready to commit to this, then come and join us in the Shift Society. The link to that is in the description below. Would love to have you there. Good things are happening with the people who are in there right now. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know which one of these connected with you. Let me know your thoughts. And until next time, take good care.